Well, hello, Wilmington College alumni. My name is Will Overholt. I'm an alumni of 2021 here at Wilmington College. I want to welcome you to the first episode of Quakerly Conversations, which is going to be a podcast that's featured from the Advancement and Alumni Office, where we'd like to just bring in alumni, feature some stories, highlight some alumni that are doing some really cool things out in the world. So our first guest today, a man that needs no introduction, Cyrus, the assistant coach of the cross country and track teams here at Wilmington College. So thank you, Josh, for being on.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad they paid my my fee. It was pretty expensive. I didn't think they could do it, but it's good to be here. It's good to talk to you. It's kind of weird because I don't think 10 years ago, if you told us we would be here right now, I would have said you're crazy. But thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. I was thinking about it too. I was thinking, like, when we were in school and you said to me that we were going to be doing an alumni podcast together down the road, I probably would have been like, where would we be doing that? Not here.
I would not be in Ohio. I would have thought that for sure.
Yeah, that's crazy. But it's awesome to talk to you. It's always good catching up with you. Well, first things first, let's talk about, your journey to Wilmington College. Let's hear about, how you got to Wilmington, how that kind of took you on the path to where you are now, if you want to get to that point. But feel free to share your story a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting one. Looking back on it, you'd never think that would work out the way it did. But as every 16, 17-year-old with delusions of grandeur thought I was going to play basketball in college. It was like, that was going to be my thing. So I was like, man, I got to find a place. I'm not very good, so, Ohio State's out of the picture, I guess. But I didn't know what I wanted to study. That was a big issue. I grew up on a small family farm, I guess I'll call it that. So I was like, agriculture is pretty cool, and I like sports. So I had really no clue what to look for. I ended up Google search typing in schools with agriculture and exercise science. And Wilmington College pops up on that. I'm not sure exactly how it got tagged, but it was one of the first things on there. And so I looked into it and I was like, well, that's a Division III. I think that's reasonable. I could probably try and play sports there. But then I was like, well, I don't know. I feel like I need to visit to kind of get an idea on the academic side of things. And I had visited a couple schools at that point. And I remember just parking over by CSA and just kind of walked out of the car and was just like, yeah, I kind of like it here. I didn't talk to no one at that point, just kind of walked out, looked around. I was like, this is the first campus I feel like I could become someone at, if that makes sense. And then throughout the visit, you're talking with the admissions counselor, they're giving you a personal tour of campus and all that stuff happens. And you realize that, for me, what I was looking for is a place I could make a community at. Every school I visited up to that point was larger. And nothing against that, but my brother went to a larger school. He loved it, and I just knew that wasn't going to be it for me.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I met Ron Combs, and the rest is history. And greatest decision of my life.
That's usually how it goes. That's how it went for me.
Yeah, absolutely. But sports ended up being a different story than I thought it would be when I got to college. Obviously, I didn't play basketball. Lasted a little bit there, and fortunately, the coaches were smart enough to say, "You're not gonna make it." Nothing knows. Best decision they ever did was say, "Yeah, you suck." Not like that. It's not how it went down. But I ended up switching to becoming a runner. So I met this guy, this knucklehead. We would have met in honors though, because we had the same orientation group.
It's a small enough school. I think we would have crossed paths.
Yeah, there's nothing like suffering with someone for an hour of running in August heat that makes you pretty good friends. I guess I'll put it like that.
August heat, December cold, year round. It was running together, and we weren't always the fastest on the team at the time.
No,
you ended up being faster.
We were terrible. We were not good.
We're not professional runners now, as you can probably tell. But no, I think about, I stopped running my freshman year due to injury. You ended up going all the way through, your years at Wilmington, and your times got better. You were starting to lead the pack, and what was that like? Getting to start fresh, seeing kind of where you were placing and how you started off in really your first kind of attempt running, and how that's progressed in just in your school years alone.
Running was terrible when I first started. I had no clue. I showed up in basketball shoes.
Relatable.
And Yeah, basketball shorts, t-shirts, and the coach was like, hey, we're going out for a 6-mile run. I was like,
Yep.
all right, cool. Then the next day we showed up, we're going out for another 6-mile run. I was like, what did I sign up for?
Consistent.
You remember the first conference meet we went to in freezing cold November on a golf course? And I was like, what is this sport? Who came up with this idea? Mm-hmm. And I stuck with it. I think one, just because of the friendships you make.
Yep.
And then two, it felt like you could carve yourself a path. It's one of those sports where if you try harder and you dedicate time to it, you're going to get better. Like, no matter how hard I tried, I was never going to be a great basketball player. It just wasn't going to happen. And so I stuck with it, and there was a weird transition because you go from being third to dead last out like 150. Mm-hmm. 3 years down the road, you're in the race and you're sitting up there, in the top half of the runners, and it's kind of a unique experience. I'll say this. The slower runners are nicer. They are so much nicer because the competitive runners just want to beat you.
Elbows.
Yeah, there's elbows. They're talking trash, and that's a wild thing to me is talking trash in a cross country race.
I've seen it too.
It's weird, and you got guys shoving kids into trees and stuff, and it's like, yeah, the slower guys are way cooler. Do you remember the Heidelberg guys?
They're talking.
Yeah.
I was going to say that. He's referencing the Ohio Northern meet.
Ohio Northern,
was it 2017,
2017.
Those guys were great.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Really, really nice.
They had mustaches too, and
nobody else was watching us because we were kind of lower in the back.
Yeah, we were not great.
We were chilling. It's okay.
And it's funny those types of moments I keep going back to.
Yeah.
So it was a really unique experience to kind of see it from a walk-on, and then being a part of a relay that top 3, so you're all OAC. Now there was a really strong mile leg on that relay, so it was not because of me, but it was unique to get opportunities. And I think that's what I come back to with Wilmington is opportunities, because when I was 16, if you told me I'd be a runner, I would have been like, you're an idiot. Obviously not. You said I would have been studying exercise science and eventually become a coach. I would have said, no way, that's not what I would have done. But it's opportunities that opened during my time here that are the reason I'm where I'm at now, which is something that I think a school of our size allows you to do is pursue opportunities. Mm-hmm. You get those things that open up that you never would have had at a larger school potentially, things like that.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool. So then tell me a little bit about the coaching gig, how, you wrap up your time with the college as a student. I don't remember it being a really slow transition. I feel like you were kind of hitting the ground running a little bit with that role too.
Yeah. Kind of back to the conversation, you and I were not the best runners. All right, even when I got better, I wasn't setting any national records or doing anything like that. And I realized probably my sophomore junior year that I had a lot more fun at meets when my teammates ran better. So I think my focus kind of shifted there a while back to, how could we help give people opportunities to get better? And, I became a team leader at that point, and I had a lot to learn because I sucked as a team leader for a while there. But that transition to not showing up to try and PR myself, but how can we take a group of 18-year-old guys that just came in this year with a group of 21-year-old guys who are ready to graduate and go out into the real world and grow together as a group, get faster, just kind of improve. So I had that kind of experience as an athlete, and then when I graduated, I knew I wanted to get my master's, and so I enrolled in a program at Ashland University for my master's in exercise science. And fortunately, it was a kind of a hybrid program, so I was able to go in when I needed to do labs and things like that, but I was able to do most of it in a kind of online structure. So I was around the campus. I was working at a coffee shop in town to help pay rent, and so I would just volunteer my time as a coach. So just right off of it, I started volunteering, which for some of the guys on the team who I was teammates with was probably a very unique switch, because they kind of expected me to be their teammate still instead of their coach. So that kind of learning the different types of boundaries there was fun. But yeah, I was there as a volunteer, and then after that they had some kind of growth in the program, and there was opportunities for a full-time assistant. And so when that came open, I went for it, and I was fortunate enough to get it. So it kind of went one right after the other.
That's all right.
But Yeah,
cool.
I feel like I kind of knew that I liked the community of the Wilmington, the town.
Yeah.
And I knew that, I'd kind of carved a little name for myself working in local restaurants where you could walk down the street on your way to the theater and talk to people.
Yep.
You could feel like I was like, I want to be a part of the community, especially in today's day and age where I think people really lack that kind of human connection.
Yeah. I
was like, I want to stay in Wilmington because I've made a connection here.
Awesome.
So Wilmington's position opened up as a coach and it worked out. And I also get to teach a few classes here, which I'm sure the students absolutely hate.
That's all right. 2 hats. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool to see. Thinking about, your schedule as a Division III assistant coach, what does your year kind of look like? Right now we're getting into December, we're looking at indoor season, looking at outdoor season,
Yeah, so right now is great. I finally get to be rid of all those annoying kids and relax a tiny bit before holiday travel. No, but it's a unique schedule if you're coaching from cross country to track because the season starts in cross country for August. And that will go till November, and then indoor track starts December. You take a break for winter break, and then from January to March, you're an indoor, and then from March to May, you're an outdoor. And then summer training goes out, then to May. Now, granted, the summer, I don't get to see these kids. I get a break from them. They get a break from me, which is great. But it is you have to have a pretty structured day just because, if you're coaching a different sport here, you have a direct in-season and you have no life in that in-season. When you're coaching football, you just in the fall, that's it. That's all there's no free time. It's a lot of hours. And then you get an off season, and that's busy. Obviously, you're recruiting, you're doing those things, but it's a different way of life. So to coach for our sport, you're always in season, no matter what. Different athletes, yes, but you're always in season. So I had to learn pretty quickly there's a structure you have to have your day. Every day you're doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Always recruiting, which is wonderful. It's nice because the summers happen, you're off technically. You don't have to be in the office, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You're obviously still in contact with recruits and anything like that. So the life of an educator and coach is nice because you get those periods of built-in. If I want to go on vacation with my wife for a week in the summer, that's not a problem. Yeah. I don't have to take time, things like that. Now, in season's a little
dedicated. Yeah,
it's not exactly a walk in the park, but you have so much built-in reward naturally when you see a kid have success or you see someone get the PR they always wanted and they got that smile on their face.
Cool, awesome. So, thinking about the track and cross country teams, when we were both on it, it was a lot about tradition, a lot about some of the things that we did on a yearly basis. I want to talk specifically about Jenna Strong, and I want to talk about when we were students, everybody basically knows the story, obviously, that the Jenna Strong story about Jenna Parlett. But I was curious to know, obviously we're getting to the point now where these generations of student athletes are coming in, they're learning about the story, but they were not on campus. We were not on campus during that time. How do you continue that tradition, the running with purpose, running how Jenna would run, how do you continue that with this generation of student athletes to appreciate that tradition and really keep that going?
Yeah, that's kind of a tougher question because it is going to be different. As athletes, really don't hear the story as much from other people aside from just us. Yeah. Even if you go into the buildings and stuff like that, it's just part of the story of the college. You think about how many stories a college has that are just kind of ingrained in there. So the ways that it really continues is one, the Jenna Strong meet for cross country. That's a huge part of it for both teams. There's a focus on the teammates. The kids every year they have to draw a poster for one of their teammates they randomly get, and it's funny, it's terrible. They're not artists, they suck, but that's what makes them great. Yeah. And it's highlighting. You have a senior where they're maybe talking about inside jokes or stuff like that, and the girls team they wear their purple ribbons in their hair. And the guys team we always talk about, because you run right past Jenner's Rock when you cross into the woods over there. And it's kind of a larger conversation of, it's not about winning the race. It's not about, even if you PR, it's about, did you represent the green well? Did you give what you had? Yeah. And that's kind of where the conversation revolves around, because there's less of a personal, for you and me, it was still something that was relatively raw. Yeah. Whereas for, a kid that was, born only 4 years before she passed away, that's the 18-year-olds are in college now.
Yeah.
There's no personal connection to there. So it has become more of a, I want to say, tradition, where we try and draw upon it, and the message is slightly different of are you actually pushing yourself?
I feel like when I think about the conceptualization of that meet, I feel like it's a celebration rather than a competition. I think about we both ran in it, you ran in it multiple times. It just feels different.
Yeah.
The community, usually Jenna's family is there, Jenna's mom is there.
A lot of alumni.
A lot of alumni come back to race that either that next day or the morning before that. It's just you feel full, when you finish.
I mean, you have, like the SID at the college, he'll take his photos with his camera and then he hops in the men's race. And he was never a runner in college. And you have these stories all the time. You have throwers that run it. It's a celebration of work. And, something that you see a lot of people will find ways to get into the meet as an alumni, as an unattached athlete.
Athlete tunnel, I think about, outside AP.
Absolutely.
That's always really cool. You talk a lot about your athletics, your passion for athletics, and your experiences here at Wilmington. Can you think off the top of your head, or I'm putting you on the spot here, but as a student, as a coach, what has been like your top, 3 athletic experiences or things that you've seen here that's been like your favorite athletic experience at Wilmington? What would you say, outside of the athletics realm, what would you say as a student has been your best experience at Wilmington College? And that could be, throughout your time as a student, things that you've seen as a coach. And I'll preface this by saying that you cannot say that it is the time that we reenacted the courtroom scene from A Few Good Men.
Oh, well, that has to take the cake. I'm waiting for the Oscar. I delivered an amazing rant.
We performed that on the stage in the Highland Theater.
That's recorded somewhere.
It has to be. There's got to be something. I felt like we did a great job.
The energy in that empty auditorium after our rant, and I got to finally say, "You can't handle the truth."
You yell in my face, and all of our classmates are just like on their phones watching. Just not watching.
It's a final for the exam. It's a presentation, and we're giving our all. We rehearsed like 5 times. We did not need to do that.
We weren't actors, so
we did not, and that may have been the best performance of my life. Just in general, that takes the cake.
I'll take it. How many performances have you had in your
life? That's how many performances on the
I should have asked that.
No, I know. We'll count any speech I've given in class as well. So
okay, cool.
That was like I said, opportunities earlier.
Yeah.
Small colleges provide a lot of unique opportunities.
Yeah.
Because that would never happen if I went to Ohio State. I can tell you that much. But best memory is a really, really tough one. During COVID, when we were sent home, I was, for some reason on my phone, going through old apps, and GroupMe was there. And I don't know if you remember this. Group N, which was our orientation number as we were freshmen, I put a message in there, and we all kind of talked for a little bit. I thought that was 3 years ago. All of us are at home during COVID, which no one knew what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
We're not going back to college. That's all we knew. And we're just talking about things, random things. Michael Snar being a hard honors professor or an annoying person, right? Always wearing purple shirts.
He'll love that one.
Michael Snar is one of my favorite professors. I should preface it by saying that. But he wore a lot of purple shirts.
Yeah.
That class, it was excessive.
Looks good on him.
And it's weird that I don't want to say that's my favorite memory, but it popped in my head thinking about that is, an orientation group that got so close together, even though one of the guys ordered the honors book as the children's version. That guy didn't make it very long.
That was not either of us.
No, it was not either of us. I want to preface it with that. But that group that just, you randomly throw an orientation group together. I mean, maybe you put like different groups that will have the same class together in there, but that group meant, we took that photo. I remember with the golf cart, President Jim.
Yeah. And
I look back on that photo, I'm like, it's amazing how unique all our lives are now because we went to Wilmington College.
Yeah.
That's a real cheesy, corny memory, but that just kind of popped in my head when you said that.
Yeah.
I have one that I have to say because I was a member of track and field. We'll save that for number 1. I feel like It was a really cool moment for me. But there was I don't remember which season. It may have been 2018, 2019. Men's basketball. They beat 2 nationally ranked teams. And one of them was at home. I think they beat Capital Marietta. I don't remember which. I think it was Marietta at home. And the fact that they were going to win, you could tell the last 2 minutes that they were going to win. And you could just feel the stands. Like everyone's like, no one's saying anything, but like, we're storming the court. You know, you could just kind of tell the buzzer goes off and like 4 of us sprint out there, kind of look back, and then see, oh, everyone else is coming. We're good. And we just stormed the court, and it was fun, and the players loved it. They were all, you know, hyping it up, and that kind of moment was cool because you think college athletics, you think of those moments, you know, when you get to be a part of the emotions of getting swept into that. And this one kind of sucks because I wasn't there for it. I was on a training trip for cross country, but I think it may have been 2019. Wilmington beat Ohio Northern football for the first time since like 1960.
I think I remember that.
Something ridiculous. And we weren't there for it, but the text, the group chats, everything, and just like being like, holy crap, they just beat Ohio Northern.
Yeah.
And you come back to campus and everyone's excited, everyone's, you know, and those types of just being caught up in those kind of emotional moments were great. And then my top moment would be my last year in track. The men's team got 3rd in the OAC behind 2 of the best teams in the nation, Mount Union, John Carroll. And we were the smallest team to do it, and we had the fewest amount of athletes. That's not the best way to put it. We had the smallest group of athletes out of every team there, and we got 3rd.
That's so cool.
And being a part of that, it was a rainy meet, the weather was terrible, and everyone just kept stepping up. And, you know, it felt like we won the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you look at those schools and those programs, and Mount Union and John Carroll were the top dogs at that point. Mm-hmm. And to beat all the other programs in the OAC with the school our size and a roster our size was just kind of a moment of like, oh my gosh, this is
paid off.
Precious.
Yeah.
Because so many things can change and outcome of games. And honestly, in my opinion, people will give me crap for this, sports has so much luck in it. Timing, what happens, weather, injuries, that whenever you have any success, you just gotta really enjoy it because you have no control if it comes and goes.
Yeah.
So that has to be my number one because of, as a student here, that would be my number one. The beating Marietta at home, Ohio Northern losing to football, and then getting 3rd as a team at OACs.
Okay. So awesome. Cool. Well, the last thing that I'm going to ask you before we wrap up today, you know, looking at the upcoming indoor and outdoor season, you know, for some of our alums that are curious about the track teams, you know, is there anything exciting or anything that, you know, coming up that is important to kind of note going into the season?
Yeah, the big question mark is this is the first year with John Carroll being gone. So that's a very large program that's, you know, now making a 9-team conference. And then we also have a very good group of young athletes, a lot of freshmen with a lot of talent, you know, paired with a few returners that are, you know, returning as kind of favorites for their event. So it's going to be exciting this year. You know, our kids are in a position where if they do the work and they execute well, they can stand on top of a podium. And that's exciting when you're going into the season with that. So I'm excited to go to indoor conference and see some younger kids test themselves and some older kids see if, hey, I'm one of the best returners. If I can execute on the day, you know, what can happen? Yeah. And, you know, that's the fun part of sports. Some of them will, some of them won't, and you got to live with it. But to have the chance to, you know, bring something back to the college and, you know, come back with a little medal or two, those are cool things to be in that position. So we're excited. We have 2 home meets outdoor, you know, April 3rd and 4th, and then the 26th or 27th, whatever that Saturday is. And having home track meets is awesome. I mean, you and I we got the one.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
There was only one in 2018, and then there was a long period of gap. Yeah. And then the school made a really cool, super shiny, bright yellow track with some dark green exchange zones. It looks amazing, and we're going to host a lot of home meets. We had like 4 meets we hosted last year, and that's fun to bring track back to Wilmington College.
Awesome.
So for alumni that can take some time and come up for any of those events, it'd be hopefully get good weather. Can't control that, but it'd be cool to come back and see what does it look like now with the new track outdoor, and kind of get to see athletes run at Wilmington College again.
I was going to say the track being redone, the signage out front, a lot of new lights in the stadium. It's just a lot of really new, cool things at the college. Different than what it was like when we were here. And it wasn't really that long ago.
It was. There was not. I guess we shouldn't say this, but it's awesome to see a lot of new things going down.
Absolutely.
When we were in college, it was a lot of the same.
Yep.
But a lot of great donations and a lot of efforts with fundraising, and it's paying off.
Yep, so opportunity for our students.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, thanks, Josh, for being here for our first episode of Quakerly Conversations.
Yeah, started off low. Keep the bar
That's
low.
all right. That's all right. We set the tone and get it started. But again, appreciate the time. Again, as a couple guys that are on the same kind of career path of graduating and working at the same place that you went to school. I appreciate the time that you put into our athletes, of the time that you put into being here as a coach, and really appreciate our friendship and getting to know you all this time. And again, crazy to think about us being here, but
I would not have thought that.
I know, but appreciate it, man. Thank you as always.
Take care.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time. Bright green track now.
Oh yeah.
We've got a lot of new things coming down the pipeline. We won't talk too much about that, but the green track is kind of the
you and I
biggest
would have run way faster on that. I mean, we would have been Olympic bound, I think, pretty easily.
Maybe you.
No. the Wilmington College track Olympic bound, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.